John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Champeau. We're taking an exploration through the hollow head of LA Times columnist Robin Abcarian, who wrote a really bizarre knob-polishing article slopping all kinds of Vaseline all over Jerry Brown's naked body.
In support of the Brown doggle. Of course, the groundbreaking was the other day, and she decided to climb on board the crazy train. And here's where she really knob polishes. In spite of myself and the bullet train's many, many skeptics, I believe the governor. Why not? This is a man who returned to power in 2011 as the state's demise was being predicted far and wide. California, with a $26 billion deficit, was becoming another Greece. California, with its dysfunctional legislature and weirdly polarized inland versus coastal population, was ungovernable. Businesses and residents were said, and most persistently by Texas Governor Rick Perry and other Republicans, to be fleeing the state, searching for lower taxes and cheaper real estate. It's actually true.
Well,
that was hooey.
It wasn't hooey.
Businesses want to be here because California is a cradle of innovation. Well, she's out of her mind.
You know something? First of all, she's so wrong about so many things in that paragraph. Jerry, the reason you don't believe Jerry Brown about the bullet train is Jerry Brown lied to get the massive tax increase passed, which closed a portion of the budget deficit. And then the economy naturally rebounded, which closed the rest of it. But he lied to sell that tax, and he even admitted he was lying about it.
Also, though, they're playing a shell game on us. And even the Times, in an editorial near the end of the year, pointed this out. There really isn't a budget surplus because we have all of this long-term debt down the road about these Republican retirees that nobody is addressing. They just ignore it because it's not in the year-to-year operations so much. It's a commitment down the road.
When you have hundreds of billions of dollars just in pension and health care debt, you're in horrible financial shape for the future. So she's just factually wrong and obviously ignorant. She also says the electric bullet train will cover 800 miles with 24 stations from San Diego to San Francisco and Sacramento. It's not going to San Diego. The reason they cut the price down to $68 billion is they cut out huge swaths of track. There's no more any train going to San Diego.
No, it's supposed to make it to Anaheim, but good luck getting there.
Yeah, so it's what she's saying here is ridiculous. It's not covering 800 miles. It's not going to San Diego. It's not going to bring cleaner air because there's very few people who are going to take the train. There's no way you can compete with an airplane that gets there in an hour and 15 minutes. No way. It's impossible. So she's just makes stuff up.
And then she parrots the governor over other big projects that were criticized, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Hoover Dam, the Panama Canal. You really believe this Brown doggle's in a class with those things?
It doesn't matter if other projects were criticized. What matters is the specifics of this project.
But those projects were right for their time. Even BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, which she cites, they were all correct for their time. Building the Golden Gate Bridge, the Hoover Dam. What we were saying about the Brown doggle is it's years past its time.
I like trains.
That's correct. It's no longer train travel. People go by car or by plane, and they're going to do that until you come up with something even better, like the Hyperloop, if they ever come up with that.
There's no market for it, and you can't come up with a rational explanation why there would be a market. So getting to this email that our listener Jim sent.
Yeah, Jim decided to reach out to Robin Abcarian about her column, and it got pretty entertaining back and forth.
So Jim wrote to Robin Abcarian, what a nonsense column. More akin to a high school composition class assignment than something you'd find in a once-proud newspaper. You really think respected journalists from previous eras would accept, don't worry about it, we'll get the money from somewhere? No follow-up questions to that statement? No wonder why newspapers are wheezing on their deathbeds. Good luck in your next career.
That's pretty good. She writes back, thanks for the note. Even though it's not very kind, just so you understand, Brown was giving a speech. She was not available for follow-up questions, so it was not a press conference. We tried to ask him questions as the security rushed him out, but he did not respond. And even if he had, I suspect he would have said the same thing. Best, Robin.
Well, it doesn't matter about asking him questions. He doesn't answer questions, or he doesn't answer them truthfully. Your job as a journalist is to get the truth. Number one, there's no 2-hour and 40-minute train. That's not possible. It's not covering 800 miles. It's not going to San Diego. It doesn't have a market. There's no money in selling advertising inside the compartments when it runs from Madera to Fresno. There's no money coming from Washington. There's no private investment money. There's absolutely no way to compete with a plane that gets there in an hour and 15 minutes.
Then Jim writes, and this is great. Got it. Apologies. I thought you were a journalist, but had I known you were merely writing a PR piece, I wouldn't have been wasting the time to write you. That bullet train is a colossal waste of money built on false promises and untruths sold to the public. Perhaps when you're allowed to sit at the adults' table and can ask a question or two of Jerry Brown, instead of just sitting on a folding chair in the audience, we can expect some more critical thinking from you. Until then, I look forward to your next cutting-edge column about the Swallows returning to San Juan Capistrano. She writes back now, what's with the insulting tone? You know, it's possible to disagree without being sarcastic and insulting.
So the Jim says, because you're not doing your job, Robin. I actually think it's dangerous what you're doing, blindly parroting what a politician is saying. It doesn't matter if we agree on the merits of a bullet train and whether it's worth doing or not. If the numbers make sense, who wouldn't be for it? The numbers don't make sense. That's when it stops becoming an opinion and starts becoming an economic discussion. Economics requires no emotion. The numbers work or they don't.
This is great.
Suppose a relative of yours told you that they were going to buy a house that costs well more than they can afford or have saved up. Your first question would be, where are you going to get the money to afford such a house? If their response was, don't worry about it, we'll get it, you would know that they're making a horrible decision and are going to be in trouble very soon. That's just common sense. Why is it any different with the bullet train? I don't know. Maybe you'd walk away from that meeting with your relatives saying to yourself, they don't have the money and it doesn't seem like a smart thing to do, but Uncle Joe is sure persuasive, so maybe it'll work out.
That'd be great.
If that's the case, then I'm pretty sure you've made plenty of bad decisions in your own life.
She writes back, I'm sure I've made many poor decisions in my time. I'm not blinding parroting anyone. The money will come, and here it is again, either from advertising sold in connection with the train or private companies getting on board after the first part of the line is built. The feds will also probably pitch in again since it becomes clear the thing is happening. I think the momentum will be there and the funding will follow. And she just repeats herself.
She said, I'm not blindly parroting anyone, and then she blindly parrots what Brown and the high-speed rail crooks have been saying, that they're going to sell advertising inside empty cars traveling from Madera to Fresno.
You got it right. She's a hollow head.
There's nothing in there.
Knock, knock. Nobody's home.
Wow.
Right. Good job, Jim. That was excellent. Your correspondence with Robin Abcarian, LA Times columnist, defending the brown doggle. More coming up.
John and Ken Show, Shannon is News.